it's a very lean week, I would say, for running backs and wide receivers, which stinks. Because we've got, another 4 teams on bye right now. So I actually relaxed the sort of threshold here slightly. I usually use 50% on Yahoo as kind of a threshold. But I wanted to mention Jeff Wilson Jr., who's 52% rostered. I mean, cue the whole like Undertaker gif, because we totally wrote this guy off for dead after being, underwhelming. And then Christian McCaffrey joins the 49ers, but now he's traded to Miami. And right out of the gate, he's out snapping Raheem Mostert, 9 carries for 51 yards and caught 3 passes for 21 yards and a touchdown. I think that involvement in the passing game is really key because Mostert wasn't involved there. And that wasn't something that we were seeing in San Francisco before. So, I mean, we've seen him be productive. He was the RB12 weeks 2 through 5 after Elijah Mitchell was hurt. I mean, I don't know how many games, 67-point games that the Dolphins are going to be involved in. They don't get to play the Bears every week, but I think they could probably develop into some kind of like 1A, 1B situation with Raheem Mostert. They do get to play the Browns next week, whose defense is really, really terrible against the run, bottom 5 in fantasy points allowed to running backs. So I think he'll be kind of in that RB3 flex range next week, just based on the matchup and sort of what we just saw there. In terms of some other guys, I mean, it gets really thin really fast. Chuba Hubbard would be probably my next pick here. He's 33% roster, didn't play this week, but he did log a limited practice during the week. So I think he's probably close. And I think, the thing with Foreman is that he just got so game-scripted out of this game. They were down so badly that they were just like, let's mix it up with Raheem Blackshear. And I think that, that could be a familiar game script for the rest of the year for the Panthers. They could be trailing a lot, and I like Hubbard's usage in the passing game. So this will probably be another committee type thing in a lower upside offense, but at least I think he will see the volume. And then we've got a number of guys that are kind of in this similar category of like, they maybe need an injury to be super relevant, but Rashad White and Jaylen Warren. I will say Jaylen Warren outperformed Najee Harris before the bye, despite being outsnapped 54-22. So, I mean, Harris obviously the alpha. He's got the pedigree. He had the amazing season last year, but Warren has been the more effective of the two, 5.3 yards per attempt to Harris's 3.3. That's a huge difference to me. So I think that he could end up sort of carving out a little bit of a standalone role, but you mentioned it, the Steelers offense isn't one that you want to invest too heavily in. Do you have any other thoughts?
Yeah, no,
any other guys or the guys that I mentioned?
I had a lot of the same names. I mean, we just mentioned Gus Edwards at 51%, who could see kind of the list if 52% is the threshold this week. The thing with Jeff Wilson is, I think the touchdown might be a little misleading because he didn't get a lot of work near the goal line, but I mean, you have to like what you see from how much they trusted him right away. If anything, his role should probably only grow, and they went and traded for him for a reason. So, I'd have a little confidence picking him up. I hate 50-50 timeshares like that, and it hurts Raheem Mostert probably more than it helps Jeff Wilson, but I'd have confidence in him. I was going to mention Chuba Hubbard too, because we've said it the last couple of weeks. He was the guy that got the start ahead of Deontay Foreman after they traded McCaffrey. He got more touches. He definitely gets more work in the passing game. They were intending sort of lead with him before Foreman played so well that probably changed the pecking order there. But when Hubbard comes back, after Foreman had a little bit of a quiet week, and if they're playing catch up, he could theoretically become 1A there, but definitely 1B. And Jaylen Warren, they had a bye week. Maybe they discussed some ways to get him more involved to revive their offense a little bit. And I'd put Rashad White in the same boat as a guy who Tampa Bay is clearly trying to get involved, even though he hasn't really been more effective than Leonard Fournette. But all of those guys are guys who are having roles currently and would have even bigger roles if the starter ever got hurt. They'd sort of be the number one all by themselves. And you could say the same for Dalton Hilliard with the Tennessee Titans. He did not do much this week, but that is a team that only runs the ball. So their number 2 running back basically means number 2 playmaker.
Definitely, yeah. And Rashad White, season high 8 carries for 27 yards. I know that that's not impressive in any way,
Right.
but Leonard Fournette only saw 9 carries for 19 yards. So, I mean, that split on the ground alone should worry Fournette managers. Now, Fournette was involved in the passing game for sure, but yeah, at the very minimum, he is an insurance policy for Fournette managers, and he could kind of develop. And he's got the Seahawks next week, so I think that should be at least a nice matchup there.